build is just completely crazy. Look at it just ravage its way through everything. Annihilating everything. Nothing can get me. Let's destroy the boss. Let's annihilate it. Boom. There you go. Basically a two-shot Cataclysm Druid. Look at those crits. Look at all this overpower damage. 265 bill hit. There's a few 300 ones in here. Look at this. Considering my gear isn't even totally optimized, this damage is nuts. Look at it. This is Pit 100. It's just destroying everything in its way. No problems. Look at this, guys. This is crazy. 300 bill hits like it's nothing. What's up, guys? Xygor here. I've been playing a lot of Season 7 of Diablo 4, and one of the most fun and interesting builds that's emerged out of this season is the Cataclysm Druid. This build is super powerful not only for clearing pits and destroying bosses, but also pushing pits as well. It's right up there in terms of power, close to the Necromancer, maybe a slight notch below, and it's super fun to play. So I just wanted to do an all-encompassing build guide here where I explain everything you need to know to do this build. I'm going to go over the gear, the aspects, the gems, the spirit boons, the skills, the Paragon boards, the runes you need, the Witchcraft Powers, and the Witchcraft gems, and more. And maybe most importantly, I'm also going to do a demo of how to snapshot, because we have to do a special snapshotting technique to really unleash the power of this build. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But first, let's get into the gear. Now, before I do that though, know that in the description below there's a link to a build guide with a planner with two different variants. One's for leveling and one's for endgame. This video will be more focused and centered upon the end game, but that leveling one can be used to get you to this point. You'll be using Lightning Storm to level, and it has a lot of synergy with our Cataclysm and lightning damage anyway, so the progression path is a logical one. So don't fret if a lot of this stuff seems out of reach. Just check that variant and use the leveling one. Alright, let's get into the gear. So first of all here, we want a Tempest Roar. This is integral to unleash a lot of the potential in this build. It synergizes well with our Runeworker's Conduit and some other items we use in this build to do a lot of damage. I got pretty lucky here. I got greater affixes on Willpower and Wild Impulses. Those are the two best ones, the ones you want to get. I would love to triple crit the Willpower with Masterwork here if I get that opportunity. Didn't get that yet, but hopefully in the future. It's a lot of damage and very important for this build. It's probably one of the 3 most build-enabling items in the build. I don't have the greatest Storm skills percentage at 21%, but that's not quite as important. So Tempest Roar is what you want. For the chest, we have a mythic item. It's the sole mythic item we're using here. Shroud of False Death. This gives us tons of stats, tons of strength, tons of survivability, and the added bonus for movement speed and damage on next attack after stealth. This is super cool. Helps you basically one-shot, two-shot bosses pretty easily, and it's really great. I would like to have the greater affix on the all stats. That really stacks your damage a lot better. So hopefully I can get another one with that. I would also like to triple crit mastery on all stats, ideally. But this is the chest to get in this build. Plus 1 to all passives is also absolutely ridiculous. Superpower amplification, and this is a great option. Alright, with the gloves, we have Runeworker's Conduit. I want Willpower, Maximum Life, and Overpower damage here. I would like to get my Masterworks on Willpower, or Lightning Bolt damage is pretty good too, but that's preferable. What this does is just gives you more damage. The operative sentence on the aspect is the second one. Your Lightning Bolt damage is increased by 15% for every 100 willpower you have. This is incredibly powerful. In the endgame, I have already close to 4,000 willpower here, and I'm not even totally optimized, so this is going to give you a huge bonus here on the gloves. Current bonus is 585 for me, so this really stacks up and ramps up your damage. For the tempering, I have Hurricane Duration and Lightning Bolt damage. Lightning Bolt damage is mandatory. The other one, you can go a few different directions, but I like either Hurricane Duration or Hurricane Size, and then I get the alternative one on the pants ideally. So Hurricane Duration I have here. On the pants, Willpower, Maximum Life, Resistance to all elements. This is a tough build for maxing out your resistance to all elements because you can't get it in many places and have the optimal damage setup. But here's one place you can. I would like to have resistance to all elements hit twice on the masterwork instead of once. Hopefully in the future I can do that, but nonetheless this is still pretty good. I have Hurricane Duration on it as well. Now, ideally, I would like to have Hurricane Size on one of these between the gloves and the pants and Duration on the other, but I ran out of rolls, so I don't have that opportunity. With the boots, Flicker Step. Flicker Step is very good for this build, especially while you're leveling up. It's the ultimate item that synergizes with your Cataclysm, because when you're evading through your enemies, you're going to get Cataclysm uptime a lot more. Now, I can do my rifts now without ever needing to evade and having it get up through that method, but still it's good. You know, I still use it and it's helpful, but once you stack so much cooldown and so many synergistic effects that keep it up, you actually don't have to use it, but it's still great because of the ultimate damage. Tons of ultimate damage. Would like to triple crit that if I can. Lightning resistance, you already have max between this and so the Tempest Roar and other items, but that's fine. So Flicker Step is the way to go. With your weapon here, I have Changeling Depth on a polearm. It's also good to have a mace. Either a mace or polearm is fine. Polearm has the vulnerable damage implicit, which is good. Willpower, Max Life, and Overpower. I would like the Willpower to be, you know, a greater affix instead of Maximum Life if I could. Hopefully I can find another, but this is still a very good item. We have Lightning Bolt damage, and also Chance for Cataclysm to deal double damage. These are the two that's really going to be powerful on the weapon for tempering. You can see I have 97.5% chance for Cataclysm to deal double damage, so it's almost 100%. This is one where it's basically perfect because you don't want that to go over 100, so 100% just below is great. Alright, the neck, I have Apogeic Furor here. This has Willpower, Envenom, and Quick Shift, and those are the three affixes you want to get on any amulet. Unfortunately, this is not an ancestral item. It's only a 750 item power, but if it was, I would love to have a greater affix on either Willpower or Envenom. I suspect that Willpower will actually scale a little bit better in terms of damage than having more Envenom, but let me know in the comments below if you disagree. But from what I've seen so far, I would rather have Willpower be a greater affix, but getting either of them in your masterwork process is great. As you can see, I got 2 rolls on it there. We have Lightning Bolt damage here and Cataclysm cooldown reduction, and those are the 2 best skills to have here. The aspect itself is just going to give you a lot more ultimate damage, and your cooldowns are affected as well. So this is really great to have. Pretty good neck, but I need to improve a little bit there. With rings, both of our rings are uniques. The first is Arita's Inexorable Will. This one, we would like to have a greater affix on Willpower and ultimate cooldown reduction. Both are very good. If I had the chance now, I would rather have Willpower because I'm just stacked very high on other stats. I don't really need to have ultimate cooldown anymore. I can still have full-time Cataclysm uptime without it, but it's still good, and it's the best while you're leveling, so it's even better during the leveling route than it is in the endgame, but Willpower is great too. This just, again, gives you a ton more damage. It's very powerful, and it's one of the items that it's pretty build enabling, and it's basically irreplaceable in this build. Very good item. With the other ring, we have Majolnik Ring, and this gives us endless Tempest ranks and more damage. You also gain unlimited Spirit when Cataclysm's active, and you deal increased damage. Now we do have an ability that drains all of our Spirit to do more damage, and that's fine. But I wish this ring had closer to 100%. Otherwise, it's pretty good. The greater affix that you want to get is Endless Tempest, and thankfully I did get it there. However, I would like to get, willpower too, and I'd like to get closer to 100%. Still a very solid ring. For that, we also want to cover the gems. So with gems here, I have blue gems in my normal armor pieces. I need to get grands in this one, that's fine. But blue gems give us more willpower. And the runes, I have Back Zhan and I have Igni Cax. So Back Zhan, this is a very build enabling combination. Basically it makes the next skill cast guaranteed a critical strike and overpower. In this build we snapshot so that all of our lightnings overpower, and this is one of the enabling things to do that. And this is just very helpful. This one is Igni Cax, and this one makes your non-basic skill cast next, expend all of your primary resource and do up to 100% increased damage. That's what I was talking about. Synergizes super well with this to do a ton of damage, and like I said, we're overpowering everything as long as we get the snapshot down. So those are the runes you want to use. Back Zhan and Igni Cax. Perfect combination. With the Witchcraft Powers, we first have Voice of the Stars. Voice of the Stars, when you have an aura active, your ultimate skills are also treated as Eldritch Growth, Decay, and Psych, and your ultimate skills deal 10% increased damage. So synergizes well with our build and our setup, plus additional damage. It's really awesome. Second one, Friend of the Bog. The bonuses on this one are a little bit more basic, but you get primary core stat, maximum life, and unhindered. All great things that work well. Just better bonuses there, and you're stacking. And then the third gem is actually, believe it or not, one of the first level 1 tier gems. A magic gem, blue one. And we're using Toadling. And Toadling gem here, your common Eldritch Witch powers are 25% more potent. And what this does is it synergizes with one of the Witchcraft powers we'll talk about in a second to give us way more damage. So this is a really awesome item. I recommend building this right away during your leveling process. When you're leveling in the Headhunter areas, otherwise known as the Witch Tides, build this one quick. It's super powerful, and you can get it very quickly. You don't have to build, one of these amazing gems right off the bat. You can get this one. Alright, let's get into the Spirit Boons. Spirit Boons here for Deer. We have Gift of the Stag, gives us more spirit and additional spirit per second, helps us sustain our runs. For Eagle, we have Iron Feather, just maximum life. It's hard to be against 30% maximum life, very nice bonus here. And Avian Wrath, so we're getting critical strike damage as well. The Eagle is where we're placing 2 boons in. And Wolf, we have Calamity, extend the duration of ultimate skills by 35%. This one is super powerful for this build because this build relies on total, absolute 100% Cataclysm uptime. This is one of the routes to get you there. You have to get Calamity. It's very good. And then with Snake, you get Overload. This does poison damage, and also the damage has a chance to unleash lightning bolts. Now, poison, we don't really actually need this because we are poisoning... we do need this. This is great. We're taking Witchcraft power that poisons as well, but this one's better to take because it poisons everything on screen. The Witch power that we can take only poisons enemies that are close, so this one is really invaluable. You could drop this one and take Masochistic and get a little bit more healing there, but then enemies that are, distant and off screen are not going to get poisoned. Only stuff in your aura is. So I think Overload is the absolute best choice. If you guys disagree, let me know in the comments below. I love to hear any alternatives. So those are the Spirit Boons. Alright, let's talk about skills. Skill tree here, we're going to expand it out so we can see it. Skill tree here, like I said, in the variant below, in the planner, there's a link in the description. One's leveling and one's endgame. I'm going to go through the endgame one, but it's a different one than the leveling one. So if you're leveling, use the leveling one in the description below. First tier for the endgame, Maul and Enhanced Maul. You can take any of these two. They're basically junk. You're not going to use a basic skill in this build once you build it out. So you could do Earth Spike, Wind Shear, whatever you want. But I just have 2 points there. Going down to the core skills. Core skills, we're actually not taking one for the endgame build. We're only taking 1 Pulverize. It's just a way for us to unleash additional damage. Pulverize itself isn't doing the damage. And then 3 Iron for some additional survivability. Going down to defensive, we have Earthen Bulwark 1 and Enhanced Earthen Bulwark. This just gives us our bread and butter defensive ability that we'll be using a lot as we go through the rifts, or pits, I should say. And also we're taking 3 Ancestral Fortitude, more survivability, Vigilance to 3, more survivability, and Backlash to 3. You get more damage with this one, which is cool because it's a damage passive within the defensive skill area. We are taking Blood Howl to Innate Blood Howl. Blood Howl is constantly up. It refreshes super quick because the kills are refreshing it. This just heals you a lot, and you can basically spam it over and over and over. It's our sustain. And then we have Debilitating Roar down to Innate Debilitating Roar. And Debilitating Roar is like a Swiss Army knife. It's very multifunctional. Not only do we decrease enemies' damage, but it also fortifies us, and we get increased damage when it's up. So this is what you want to unleash before you want to do a lot of damage, like to a boss or something. And then going down to Companion, we're putting 3 points in Nature's Reach, more damage to distant, which is really important. A lot of our lightning bolts hit distant enemies. And then we have Feral Aptitude to 3 as well. So additional damage, and it's very helpful as well. Going down to Wrath skills, we have 3 points in Mending, just additional healing and maximum life. 3 points in Charged Atmosphere, and 2 points in Endless Tempest. Endless Tempest just increases the duration of a hurricane and Cataclysm. You can put more points if you need maximum uptime on the Hurricane and Cataclysm, especially max it out if you're not at max yet, where you can just spam Cataclysm and keep it up. But I just have 2 points because I don't quite need that right now. And then Hurricane, we have that up to Savage Hurricane. So Savage Hurricane with Hurricane just does a little bit of damage, slows enemies, and those that are slowed do a little bit less damage too. We have 1 point in Neurotoxin, and that really is the only reason to get to Envenom. We put 3 points in Envenom. Venom's probably our best passive. Our most damaging one, just does a ton more damage, and we want to max this out. That's why we have this as a greater effects on our neck as well. So 1 point in Neurotoxin, 3 in Envenom. Then we go down to ultimate skills. We're putting 1 point in Defiance. We're putting 3 points in Natural Disaster, and 3 points in Resonance. All this just does more damage for us, and it synergizes well with the choices that we're making in the rest of the build. We are putting 5 points in Cataclysm. We have this up all the time, and it does a ton of damage, and we have it maxed out to Supreme Cataclysm. Then we have Catastrophe maxed out as well. You just do increased damage for 8 seconds after casting your ultimate. When you can start casting Cataclysm more and more and more, this starts to have, close to 100% uptime as well, so it's very good. And then 3 points in Defensive Posture just gives us more survivability that we need here. And then we're maxing out Quick Shift, just more damage bonus, and we're maxing out Heightened Senses, more damage bonus. And then we are taking Ursine Strength. This is the best one in the endgame. It scales super well, does a ton of damage with increased overpower that we need because all of our attacks are overpowered in this. In a leveling build, you'll use probably Perfect Storm, but Ursine Strength is the best in the endgame. Alright, let's go to Paragon. Paragon tree here. Again, the Paragon tree is a little bit different between the leveling variant and the permanent variant. I have both in the planner in the description below. Click the one that's most applicable to you, but I am in the endgame. So with the Paragons, we are starting here with Spirit. Just additional critical strike damage. Very helpful. Pretty much, basic what it does. Just stacking critical damage. We also have some good rare nodes, some good survivability ones like Prime and Tenacity here. And we also have Impel and Reclaim. Those are damage ones. Going north 1, we are going to the Ancestral Guidance one, taking Ancestral Guidance for additional damage, and we are putting in Dominate here. This stacks Overpower damage, so we are also getting a lot of damage via Overpower because all of our lightning bolts that come down via Cataclysm and otherwise are Dominate, or are overpowered, and Dominate helps them. Rare nodes here that are good we're getting is Guidance, more damage. We're getting Natural Attunement, a little bit more survivability and resource generation. Reclamation, we are taking Resolve, get some resistance to all and life out of that. And then we are going to the west, and we are taking Headhunter. Headhunter is an interesting one that just amplifies the bonus to all normal modes 100%. So you can see we're taking a lot of normal nodes around here to stack up. And in my ultimate board, I'm actually taking a lot of intelligence, even though that this is a willpower, because intelligence gives us resist all, and that's tough to stack in this build, so you'll end up probably taking a lot of intelligence here. We have Survival Instincts on this board. Survival Instincts just gives us more damage, and it's very useful as well. For rare nodes here, we have Bulwark, more survivability. We have Spearhead, more damage and survivability. We have Zealous, more damage and a little bit of survivability. Grizzly, more damage. There's a common theme here, it's damage. Then we have Battle-Worn Hide, some survivability, and Ursine, some more survivability. From there, we're going north 1 board to the Lust for Carnage board, more spirit, sustain, and damage here. And in this one, we are taking the Electrocution Glyph. Electrocution, more lightning damage. We have a ton of it in this build. We have it tempered in various places, and it's very helpful for maximizing our damage of our lightning. We also have Feral for damage. We have Ripper for damage. This one's awesome. We have Recuperate for some survivability, and Ferocity. You're going to be able to get all of these. In the end, I think I will go up here and get Wild's Call and get all of these. I still have about 14 or 15 more Paragon to go, and those are the best. I think those are better than going this route. Alright, last board, we go east 1 more. This is the Thunderstruck board for more damage. I have it up to 60%. I have it maxed. That's what we want. And then in this one, we are getting Keeper. So we get bonuses to rare nodes. The rare nodes here that are being amplified are Concentrated, Damage to Close. We don't always hit enemies that are close, but we kind of need this for bonuses, and it's really good for bosses. You're going to do more damage to bosses that you're close to. And then Stormcaller, more storm damage here as well. For other rare nodes, we're taking Hubris, more damage there. Deluge, some more damage there to Distant, very valuable. And Tempest. That gives us crit strike damage, more damage in general. So there's the Paragon. Alright, we've already talked about Witchcraft Gems, so now let's talk about Witchcraft Powers, which are really the highlight of Season 7. So for your ultimate one, you want to have Vengeful Spirit Servant. This one redirects a little bit of damage from you, and also does a little bit of damage to enemies. Soul Harvest. This one's the #1 priority. This one's super powerful, gives you additional scaling damage, and I've seen this one in basically every build for every class in the season. Other classes are using this too. Like I said, #1 priority, this one's awesome. Second one, Decay Augmentation, does a little bit more damage and executes enemies. Helps you with your speed clearing, very expedient, very efficient. This one's good too. Purging Touch, this one's really interesting. It gives our Eldritch effects 80 or 48% increased damage to all enemies. And this one, like I kind of alluded to earlier, synergizes with our Toadling gem, which I talked about earlier. Your common Eldritch Witch powers are 25% more potent. So scaling damage, that's applying big damage to all enemies, not just Headless Rot. It's awesome. This one I think there's the most leeway with. I went Aura of Siphoning here. It poisons enemies that are close and heals you for 1% maximum life for each time it deals damage. The poison part of it, we're already poisoning enemies via our boons, so that's not that operative. It's still alright, but the healing part's kind of cool. Sustainability there. Let me know in the comments below if you have any good alternatives to this one, because I think this one, there's more room to work with than the other ones. And then we have Aura Specialization, makes our auras bigger, increased critical strike damage as well, very helpful. So those are the Witchcraft Powers. Now, I'm going to show you a full demo on how to use this build, including the Snapshot. Because like I said earlier, you have to snapshot your Cataclysm at the beginning of each zone and each pit, otherwise your damage will fail. It will actually seem like this build is broken if you don't do that. So let's get into that right now. Alright guys, I'm going to show you how to snapshot as the Cataclysm Druid. And the first thing starts out before you enter a zone. So, as you can see from your runes here, I have back Zan and Igni Cax. And down here in my icons, this is the Cax rune and this is the Zan rune. I like to have them in this order. It's easier for me. If you want to have them in the same order, you just have to change the order in which you put your pieces on, right? So basically what I'm saying here is if you wanted these to be in a different order on your bar, you can take the weapon off and put it back, and now they're on the different order. If you want to put it back, you take the pants off and put it back, and now they're on the order that I like it. But we're going to go in, I'm going to show you how to snapshot it. So you go into the pit, or whatever zone you're in. It can be, you know, any area. You're going in. First thing you do is do non-basic attacks to fill up the first one almost full. I went over there, so I'm gonna pulverize a few times, and then you walk until the second rune is filled up. It's filled up now. Then I did an Earthen Bulwark, then I did a Cataclysm, so now we're good to go. That's basically it, and you have to do it every time. It is difficult to get the hang of at first, but it really is helpful. You can't unleash the potential of this build at all if you don't do it. In fact, you'll probably think the build is broken. But that way, we snapshot not only Cataclysm to do insane damage, but also Resonance and some powerful aspects related to the Earthen Bulwark to get us through this pit. And I might as well just finish it here. I'm just going to power my way through. Just killing enemies. I'm running all over. Making pretty decent time, but this is not like the best. The thing too is you need to keep hitting Cataclysm before it drops. My cooldown is such that I can have it all the time, even when I don't flicker step and reduce the cooldown a lot. But you need to keep it up, otherwise you'll have to do the snapshot thing again. That's annoying, you don't want to do it. Like right there, I Cataclysm again, so it's still locked in. But if it dropped, I'd be screwed and I'd have to run around, do it again. If you die, you have to do it again. So, you know, some pits, it's harder to run around at the beginning because mobs are swarming you, so you got to get creative sometimes, and that can be weird and funky. But that's what you got to do. So I'm just going to complete this rift. We're going all around, just basically spamming our abilities, keeping everything up. The debilitating roar increases your damage. I should be a little bit more sparing about when using that one, but it's fine. I mean, it's up a lot too. We get through here, hopefully get the boss soon. So we're going into the boss's lair. I have Cataclysm still up. We're basically just crushing them. Basically as easy as that. That's the boss. It's like a 3-second boss. It's often shorter. Like when you stealth with your Shroud of False Death and get to the boss and then pulverize them, you can basically one-shot them a lot of the time here on Pit 100. So that's where it's at. That's how to snapshot the Cataclysm Druid, and this is the gameplay demo to show you how to go through the rift, I should say pit, and beat the boss at the end. Cataclysm Druid. Let's go. That's about it for the build guide. Let me know in the comments below if you guys have any ideas on how to optimize this build, or if you've been playing it, found any tricks for it. Let me know below. Do you think I'm doing anything wrong? I'd love to know. This build's super fun to play and super powerful. I'm having an absolute blast with it. It's great for speed farming and for pushing. I think it can go up to 150 if it isn't 150 already. Leaderboards out there certainly has that potential. Super fun build to play. I would just say it's easy to play, but the snapshotting aspect of it can be a little bit tricky and frustrating at first until you really get the hang of it. So I can see a lot of people trying this build and kind of hanging it up, but persevere. Keep it up, guys, until you get that snapshot, and you're going to have a lot of fun after doing that. So that's about it. Like I said, leave a comment below about what you think about this build, what I can do better, and I'll catch you guys next time.